Ah, your friend needs to learn that Age of Empires 2 is beautiful. Anyway, Gamer 2. Who will come on top? That is the real question. Yeah, most of my friends didn't used to play Age of Empires 2 either, but I converted them with my monks in real life, and now they're now they can't stop. Alright, anyway, for those of you who are tuning in right now, this is Game 2 of Round 1 of the Arabia 16 1v1s tournament, hosted by the Aoe2 HD OZ Clan. The links to all of their mumbo-jumbo is on the screen right now, and you can check out the rest of the matches, which will eventually be uploaded on my YouTube channel, which is at the top right, or on their official YouTube channel, which is in the bottom right. And I will be casting this tournament basically every few days for the entire month of July until they run out of replays to send me to cast. So anyway, Game 2 of Elixir versus DFS. Elixir was defeated in Game 1, but who will come out on top in this match? Let us jump straight into Game 2. And for those of you who are tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Every little bit counts. Alright, let's dive straight into this. Game 2. Alright, so right now, it looks like we have a Vikings mirror match on Mediterranean. Ooh, this is interesting. You don't get to see something like this that often. Oh, you all get to check out the pretty Aoe2 HD water graphics. If you like the textures that I have in my videos or on the stream right now, if you go to my YouTube channel, you can find a link to each and every one of the texture mods I use. So anyway, as you know, Vikings are a very, very powerful naval civilization, boasting their hilariously cheap docks and their hilariously cheap warships, which makes for a very unfun experience for naval civilizations that aren't Vikings against Vikings usually. So we will see how this goes. Basically, the typical strategy on a map like Mediterranean is seizing control of the ocean is so important. Absolutely so important. So both players are going to definitely consider focusing on seizing the lake in the center right here. So what this means is, since you don't have any military boats in the Dark Age on your dock, only fishing ships, they don't hurt anything, both players are going to try and get to the Feudal Age basically as fast as possible by heavily investing in food. And then, right after they click up to the Feudal Age, they are going to basically pull almost everything off food and invest everything in golden wood to start pumping galleys out. And the reason that seizing the ocean is so important is that it allows you so much access to free food and map control. Seizing the, if one player controls all of this free food that's in the center of the map, that gives them a massive advantage. So both players are going to be competing for that. We might even see 4 villagers on wood for both players as they strive to get at an early dock to fish. Because in the Dark Age, both players can fish without contesting each other. Something I think that's interesting about the map generation is that DFS is, I guess, not really on a peninsula, but Elixir is actually in a peninsula. Which, I don't know how much that matters, but if the game really, really does drag, Elixir is quite vulnerable to being attacked from the ocean, from just the fact that he's surrounded. He's so close to the water, it's actually hilarious. Whereas DFS is sort of a reasonable distance from it. I don't think DFS is far enough that it would be a handicap for him, because usually you want to be really close to the water so you can plop out your docks really fast, but in this case, I think DFS is just a fine distance away. Just plopping out a bit more houses. Both players are doing their scouting. See, DFS has done a bit of aggressive scouting, whereas Elixir has opted not to do that at all yet. And yep, they're both going for about a 13 population dock. Looks like Elixir will start his slightly sooner. Doesn't make a big difference, but that does mean that he'll have his fishing ships out just a bit earlier. Interesting fact about fish is that fishing ships actually gather fish faster from deeper water fish, and shorefish the slowest. So even though shorefish, you know, they have 200 food, and the great fish marlin has 350, the shorefish actually gives you it just a bit slower. It's not too significant, but it's another reason why great fish marlin is so good. And now both players are trying to minimize the amount of time the villagers idle, so they're going to do a little bit more fishing before they send that villager back. Grabbing the boar now. Expect to see some fishing ships coming out. Ooh, there's a lot of sheep here. Yeah, the Mediterranean does occasionally have extra sheep. It's very similar to the map Ghost Lake in that regard. Yeah, and yeah, this is all going to come down to the galley rush. Who will have the faster, more efficient galley rush? But even if the galley rush does go awry, I have seen players recover from that, but that is pretty difficult. If you're wondering why they have extra villagers on wood, is because you need these fishing ships as well. It's basically going to be an entirely like food-based economy, and then when whoa, DFS is watching his villagers. Good on him. Good on him. That sheep almost died unnecessary. Oh. The control from DFS is hilarious, and those villagers are suicidal, I suppose. He is luring the boar with his scout, though. That's pretty interesting. You don't see that often, and it lives with one. So that scout will be easy pickings. Yeah, Elixir does have a bit of just a little bit in the realm of a fishing advantage. It's pretty cool, though, that DFS happens to have his dock right next to a great fish marlin, whereas Elixir would have to, if he built it over here, it'd be a little closer. So, yeah, DFS is getting a little bit extra food out of his dock. And we've got, yeah, both boars being hunted at the same time from DFS, just so he can get a huge burst of food and get to the fetal age as fast as he possibly can. Expect to see another fishing ship coming out from him as well. Yep, there we go. Both players, I'm assuming, are making great use of the hotkeys that let them jump to their dock. So sort of treat it like a 10 center. They gotta keep that production up. Another house going down. And we are reaching the scary moment in the game when a galley rush begins, or the grush as we call it. Housed for half a second, doesn't matter. Oh, looks like he has an extra boar. Oh, wait. Oh, he totally stole that boar and I didn't even notice it. Okay, so yeah, the reason that his scout was luring that boar, and I didn't notice it, should have been paying more attention, is that he actually stole one of Elixir's boars with the scout by stabbing it twice and then running with it all the way back over here, and DFS just barely got away with that, because the scout, you know, 1 HP. And I guess, yeah, that's why he was going for the aggressive scouting. Stealing that boar is very significant, because look at that. He's got a quite fast feudal age, and I expect to see a ton of these villagers pulled off to start mining gold now, and a lot of them on wood as well. I believe galleys cost like 90 wood and 30 gold or something. Let's see if oh, Elixir is actually up sooner, despite the fact that Elixir is missing a boar. Wow, that is really impressive. And yeah, we've got the mining camp coming out from him, so he's going to go straight into galleys. I expect to see a second dock from everybody, and oh my goodness, Elixir is actually ahead of DFS, despite DFS having all this extra stuff, and he's not even opting to finish the boar. He doesn't care. Food's not that important anymore. He just needs to get an absurd amount of wood and get a little bit of gold so he can plop out a ton of docks, a ton of galleys, and seize control of the Mediterranean right now. Both players are opting for a second lumber camp immediately, which is what they should do. And yeah, they don't need any food income at all, actually. Notice that both players have 0 villagers on food right now. The reason being, they need a lot of wood for fishing ships, and galleys, and docks, but the fishing ships give them food. So all they need is really enough food to sustain their villager production, and besides that, that's it. Oh my goodness, Elixir is actually ahead by an incredibly significant, like, maybe 30 or so seconds, which means that he's got this second dock, and he's almost finished with his third one, as DFS is working on his third one. These galleys are going to come out sooner as well, and the harass is coming in. DFS is quite in trouble, just because Elixir is a little more efficient than it appears to be. These water maps, one-on-one scenario, are really about the little things. It's the player that is slightly faster is the one that tends to seize the victory. So I got the first galley out right now. Elixir is going to find these fishing ships, and he's going to locate the other docks. He's just going to use it as a bit of scouting. And yeah, now DFS is going to have to pull these fishing ships somewhere else. Super significant. I mean, he's got one galley out, 2 now, but there's 3 on Elixir. He's getting a couple free shots. And yeah, so it's all about efficiency on water maps, and then your unit control has to be flawless. DFS here, though, is showing that his unit control is very good, but Elixir as well. You notice he was focus firing the single galley for a while, and then Elixir pulled it back so that DFS would be unable to shoot it, and he'd have to take free damage to follow that. So then he just pulls back the ones that are on low HP. The micromanagement here from Elixir is great. And yeah, DFS is just going to get outproduced here, because Elixir was just a bit faster. He's putting down his emergency tactical watchtower right here, because watchtowers absolutely eat ships for breakfast. But, might be a little too late. Elixir's got so many galleys. And you have to focus fire. You can't split your fire between them, of course. Yeah, you know DFS is desperate with this tower. I would say that it's not typically recommended that you do that. Wow, 4 docks. Only 3. Those villagers are idle. Oh my, this is significant. DFS is opting for the other strategy that you can do when your rush goes horribly wrong, which is you take your galleys, you locate the enemy fishing ships, and you just do a little bit of raiding on their ocean economy. Now, something that'll be interesting is, will DFS continue to contest the ocean? Oh, he's gonna get his another war now. Will he continue to contest the ocean, or will he opt to transition into a land war? Now, one benefit, actually, of Elixir being on this weird peninsula type thing is that not only is he extremely vulnerable from the sea, but he is also extremely well defended if he controls it, and he has completely controlled this. It looks like, based on the fact that there's a flag on these docks, that DFS is not going to give up. He will try to claim the ocean if he can. Why did that war pull fail again? Oh, he lost a villager to it. Oh, that's actually quite a big problem. Slow him down a bit. The last thing he needs is to fall even more slightly behind. Just the little differences that make the difference here. Yeah, well, I wonder if he can turn this around. It looks incredibly unlikely at this point, though, that he can make the difference. The watchtower does do a bit of damage to these galleys, but not by a significant margin. It's basically just like having a galley with long range that can't move. So it doesn't make a big difference. Alright, so he's got 6. Elixir still has way more. And I think Elixir's economy is in better shape. But you'll notice that the players like to put their houses along the edge. Perhaps DFS a little bit less so, but this is just for vision purposes. This will mean that if a transport ship decides to come by, Elixir is fully aware of that. A 4th dock coming out and a 5th dock. So DFS is absolutely determined to take back the ocean at whatever it takes. But it might be too little too late, honestly. He's trying to outproduce, but interesting is that the galleys are actually reasonably effective against buildings. I mean, not like super effective, but they get the job done. So this dock will eventually die. The watchtower is not in range. Oh, and Elixir has fletching. Great decision here. Don't forget that the boats do benefit from the ranged attack upgrades that everything else does at the blacksmith. Okay, this dock's gonna die. That is huge, which means that these galleys are forced out, and if Elixir's watching, he can just kill those right now, but I'm gonna say that DFS is absolutely done here. The navy from Elixir is huge. Elixir has a tech advantage in the form of fletching. Elixir is also actually completely walled off. He even stonewalled it, and he's walled with houses so that if DFS gets desperate and he tries to transition into a land war, which is a good decision if you're behind, you have many options if your rush fails. You can try raiding with your galleys, like never engaging him. Watchtower's not that great, but it can make the difference if it's close. But if it's not close, it won't make the difference. But it will make the difference if it's close, so that's a thought. If you're barely losing your grush. So yeah, you can either raid with your galleys, you can swap to a land war, you can opt for a tower if it's close, and what you can do is you can put down a bunch of docks if the enemy has a huge advantage in galleys and this watchtower, and then just try and outproduce him, but that is super risky. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say something like raiding with the galleys that you have and swapping to a land war is the best idea, but still not that great. He's got these two forward villagers right here. I think he's going to try and forward Elixir, which is a common strategy when expert players lose the grush. Once it happens, it happens. When you lose the grush, transitioning to a land war is usually recommended. And yeah, so I'm assuming we're going to see like a forward barracks in range here, but I'm thinking too little, too late. We have fletching coming out from DFS, but you know, Elixir's got a much better economy, as you can tell by his stockpiled resources and population advantage. As a matter of fact, Elixir's decision to build a market here, also brilliant, because this means that he can trade his resources and get to the castle age. This is bad. And, you know, Elixir knew that DFS was getting a bit desperate, and that the galley rush had failed, so he anticipated the forward, or the inclusion of a land war, and has denied it with the wall off. Denied. So no land war for you, unless he gets the castle age, or he puts down like a tower here to prevent additional walling. That probably won't work, but actually he doesn't even have the stone for that. Yeah, so you put down an additional tower to prevent walling and try and push in there, but no, that's basically prevented. I don't think DFS can do anything anymore, because, I mean, he's trying to claim back the ocean, but that's not going to work. Speed it up just a little bit, because I believe that as soon as Elixir gets to the castle age, this match is OVAH over. Now, he doesn't want these villagers to be idle, so he's wisely putting down a lumber camp. Notice how actually the DFS is walled to prevent, you know, any sort of scouts or skirmishers or what have you to come. But those are palisades, and Elixir is almost at the castle age, and that means that craziness will begin when knights and whatnot come. He's trying to fight under the tower. This is what you should do if you invest in it. He's pulling off his hunters to, well, really triple, like, double the damage of his tower, but will that make the difference? I am doubting it. You put the villagers in there so that the tower fires more arrows, and he did manage to almost break even, but again, Elixir has an advantage here that is way too significant to breach. Wow, he's got a ton of excess gold. DFS could take those gold miners off and move them to something else, perhaps. Nope, no forward here. And Elixir is almost to the next stage. When he gets the castle age, he's gonna do the same thing with the crossbowman timing attack that you see a lot. He's going to get his bodkin arrow out immediately. Yes, sir. And war galley. Try and get a huge tech advantage. DFS is doing a good strategy, which is to come over here, take out a couple fishing ships, and maybe cut off the production. You know, because he's got to stream these galleys out of these docks, right? So they come out one at a time. So DFS could just get a couple free dock kills here, which is what he's doing. Great decision here, but again, he's fighting a losing battle right now. I expect to see another town center coming up from Elixir in just a moment as well. He does have the wood for it. And a bunch more war galleys. Now, poor DFS, there's nothing he can really do in this situation. He is making the right plays, but at this point, his He's so far behind, as you can tell from the score discrepancy. I mean, he's trying. He really is. He's got the market out, which means that which I would really recommend if you're struggling to advance to the next stage, is exchanging your resources at the market. You know, he wants to get to the castle age. He wants to compete, but Elixir has developed an advantage that is far too large to compete in the ocean anymore. And Elixir has wisely given himself the insurance with these stone walls and these house walls over here that a land war ain't gonna happen until DFS is castle age. I like this here. This is kind of clever, putting docks in harder to notice locations so that Elixir, that DFS can mass galleys and Elixir won't know where they're coming from. But again, too little, too late. All these docks are gonna die. All these galleys are gonna die. We have another town center coming out. We have another town center. And Elixir has got this game in the bag. Great play from both players, really. But it looks like Elixir was just ahead by a bit, and it really did make the difference. It's really incredible that Elixir managed to get a faster feudal age in DFS when he was down 1 board and DFS had 3. Quite significant. But yeah, the advantage here is just far too big. When a player has basically double your score, especially if it's a CMAT, coming back is pretty difficult. I like how oh wow, did he use a transport ship to sneak in? Is that what he did? I don't know how he got these villagers there, but I don't think it matters. Yep, Elixir is stonewalling this to just ensure that no shenanigans happen. You know, he might try and put down like a stable or something and begin raiding, but just why he has the barracks, I'm assuming that's what he's doing. Or he's just goofing around, I'm not sure. Yeah. Archery range, nice try. No, but this is unfortunately a lost game already. Elixir has this in the bag. I'm sure he just used a transport ship to get over there, but I'm surprised, sort of, that Elixir is letting this happen, but nothing is going to come of it. He's trying the siege workshop. He's trying the cavalry archers as well. Too bad Viking ones are really bad, but, you know, they're still cavalry archers. But they are quite expensive. Perhaps opting for crossbows may have been a better idea. I mean, he is going to do some somewhat significant eco damage here. It is a nice try, but if he attempted that earlier, it may have made the difference. But no, Elixir has won. Wow, Elixir may have wanted to react to this a little sooner, actually, because DFS is doing some significant eco damage here. You'll notice how Elixir wisely splits his ships along the coastline, which is what you should be doing. And this is so that he will not allow any transport ships or shenanigans to happen from DFS. Wow, this is actually being hilariously effective from DFS. I am surprised how effective this is. And we will see that Elixir is maybe opting for skirms. Yes, he is opting for skirmishers. Yeah, and we see the crossbowmen considering coming out, I guess. Mangonel's going to be quite effective. The thing is that even though this is entertaining, I don't think this could change the outcome of the game. Could totally be wrong, though. I'm just going to wager that Elixir has such a big eco advantage at this point. DFS can't do much. This town center is quite in trouble, though. Ah, so we've got knights coming out from Elixir. This is smart. These knights are going to make short work of actually everything, and he wisely has the defense upgrade. However, DFS does have more upgrades. He does have Bodkin Arrow and Padded Archer Armor, so actually quite significant. He's going to need more knights. Alright, yeah, now I think he's... Oh, wow. Beautiful Mangonel shot from DFS right there. Absolutely beautiful. And, wow, that just changed the entire state of the engagement. Elixir is somehow in trouble. Oh, that's actually hilarious. Elixir is somehow in trouble. I know. Unfortunately, this navy right now is just sort of wasted. He does control the entire ocean, so maybe he wants to get a few more fishing ships out. I'd consider it. Wow. Wow, DFS is doing some work here. Like I said, you know, when you're behind, you gotta transition into a land war, and he somehow managed to make what seemed like an impossible land war into one by building a dock in the middle of nowhere, using a transport ship to slip him over, and just forward him, completely bypassing all of Elixir's walls. Really a great move here. Oh my gosh. And like I said, they're both really, really great players, so I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that, DFS's surprise push is going so well. However, I do also like how he has decided that he could use some monks to go convert some mangonels, maybe some ships, but Elixir is reacting appropriately with these scouts, so I don't think these monks are going to do diddly squat. Yeah, okay, well... Yeah. No, Elixir, got caught off guard here by a very, very brilliant and effective forward by DFS. However, Elixir has finally cleaned this up, and I would say that that is because of the absolutely massive economic discrepancy between the two players. That Elixir could afford to take a ton of economic damage like he did, and he really did. Like, DFS really did give it a great shot and did so much damage, and almost made a fool of Elixir even. With a very, very, very brilliant play. But in the end, you know, Elixir's eco and military advantage is going to turn this. Brilliant play from DFS, but Elixir does have a great defense and a great economy going, so this forward is... well, the party is over. The fun stops here. Elixir's base is safe. He now owns the entire ocean. He's doing the great idea, which is to make a ton of fishing ships since he owns the entire ocean. Why not, right? And all these buildings are going to die, and DFS is wisely going to call GG. Great game here from both players. A little less close than the previous one, but we still saw some really great play from DFS and Elixir right here. Elixir just showing that his efficiency and mastery of water maps is apparent. And, you know, DFS with his galley micro was also great, and doing that very, very interesting forward with the transport ship was also quite creative. Great game here. So let's take a look around. But yeah, Elixir, you know, he sustained in a very devastating amount of losses from DFS's forward push, but in the end, you know, all those extra town centers, he had the economy to defend it. Let's check out the achievements. A much closer game than it would seem from the scores, or if you were watching it for a while. Really, yeah, a lot of units killed here, and DFS is forward with the transport ship. Oh my god, Elixir sustained so many losses here. It's what turned these units killed and units lost into practically the same number here. Absolutely brilliant. And we have, 3 units converted, always quite funny. This is all Navy right here. And this is why DFS's forward did not succeed. It was absolutely brilliant. You have to think outside of the box when you're playing Age of Empires, and especially when you're in a bad position. Sometimes you gotta take risks, and he knew he was going to lose if he didn't try something crazy, so he did. But this was the big problem. He had a lot of gold, which is why he decided, you know, monks and whatnot. But anyway, this is a big problem. Eco discrepancy was big. This stuff doesn't really matter, both players. Good research count. This is pretty significant. I would say that the fact that Elixir got his docks out sooner, perhaps his economy was just a teeny weeny bit better balanced, that he could get his second dock out when DFS only had one, probably made a difference here. This is all relatively even. But this is the game-changing factor, as it so often is. Villager high. Gotta get a lot of villagers, and Elixir had 2 extra town centers on DFS, so that wasn't gonna happen. And as you can tell from the timeline, DFS made quite a big dent here, but Elixir basically won the game as soon as he hit the castle age. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching, guys. This was Game 2 of Round 1 of the Arabia 16 1v1s tournament, which is hosted by the Aoe2 HD OZ Clan. Links to all their stuff right here, and the link to my stuff up here if you would like to see more of my contents. I'm going to update the scores right now. And as per usual, I will be back in 1 minute.